My opponent's main claim is that information listed on food labels requires careful interpretation and is often misleading. Her supporting claims are misleading ingredient information on food labels claim that the product is made with whole grains, even though it often contains refined flour as the major ingredient. Misleading ingredient information on food labels claim that the product is a good source of fiber, even though the fiber is isolated fiber made from chicory root, not from traditional sources of whole grains, beans, vegetables, or fruit. Misleading information on food labels claim that the product is made from all natural, even though it contains high fructose corn syrup, a chemical conversion of cornstarch. Misleading nutrition information and serving size information of food labels hide certain ingredients such as MSG, the monosodium glutamate, under different names such as yeast extract or autolyzed vegetable protein. And misleading nutrition and serving size information on food labels make unauthorized health claims. My counterclaim is that food labels follow FDA regulations and are not misleading. Addressing her first, second, and third supporting claims, food labels that claim they are whole grains, have a good source of fiber, or say they are made from all-natural products. My opposing claim to these is that my opponent ignores that these food label claims have several eligibility and validity requirements before being put out to the market. In Tracy Altman's book, FDA and USD Nutrition Labeling Guide, she states that one of these eligibility requirements is the substance must be a food or food ingredient or a component of a food ingredient. The use of the levels necessary to justify a claim has been demonstrated by the proponent of the claim to FDA satisfaction to be safe and lawful under the applicable food safety provisions of the Federal Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act. In the FDA's online article titled Draft Guidance Whole Grain Label Statements, they say that there are no standards of identifying for whole grain products per se, but there are standards of identifying for whole wheat bread, rolls, and buns, and whole wheat macaroni products, which are made from whole wheat flours. She also does not provide evidence for any of these products which are misleading. Addressing her fourth claim, she states in it that yeast extract is MSG. While they have similar chemical properties, they are not the same product, so they have different names. The difference between .com states that yeast extract is from yeast, a living unicellular organism. Yeast extract is more nutritious form to eat than yeast because yeast extract provides your body with more energy. Addressing her last claim, products claiming to provide health benefits are unauthorized. My last opposing claim is that products claiming to provide health benefits have to pass eligibility and validity requirements before going to the market. In Tracy Almond's book, she states that an eligibility requirement, this substance must be associated with a disease or health-related condition for which the general U.S. population or U.S. population subgroup is at risk, or alternatively, the petition by the proponent of the claim otherwise explains the prevalence of the disease or health-related condition on the U.S. population and the relevance of the claim in the context of the total daily diet and satisfies the other requirements of this section. In conclusion, I prove that food labels follow FDA regulations and are not misleading by showing that there are eligibility validity requirements they must pass, and showing that food flavor additives and MSG and yeast extract, while similar in chemical properties, are not the same product.
All right, well, the labeling of the advocate's claims is okay, except when you start labeling all the secondary issues, you lose the numerical signposts as you're creating that preview, and it all sort of runs together, and I thought that that made it a little more complicated to follow than necessary. When you get to your responses, you start identifying particular claims that you're going to respond to, but I think that you kind of group them together, which is okay, but since they weren't signposted numerically at the beginning, that makes it a little less clear which things they apply to. You need to have an explanation of this concept of the alternative eligibility requirement for the audience. This is a perfect example of something that does need to be defined. Rather than a term, for instance, it's a concept here, and it sounds like what you're saying is that there is a base requirement for these things to be evaluated on that is separate from their inclusion in a product. So, for example, if a grain is a whole grain that has some particular benefits, if it's a base product and it has those benefits and then it's used subsequently in another product, then there's not really a need for the second product to argue, that it meets all those requirements because of that first thing. That, I think you kind of need to explain that, because I didn't think that that was as clear as it needed to be at the beginning. At the end of the speech, I thought it was actually a little bit clearer, but you have some okay evidence on this explaining what the criteria are on that particular point. You've got an argument basically claiming that the advocate created an equivocation because they treated yeast extracts the same as MSG and that they are substantially different. And then you seem to be presenting an argument that says that there's some benefit from the yeast extracts. I don't know if that is a contradiction of the advocate's claim on this particular point, and the citation of the evidence needs to be a little bit sharper. Then you come back to the argument about the eligibility validation requirement, and like I said, I thought this is where it got to be a little bit clearer what you were talking about, although the evidence that you're presenting is not very helpful at supporting the conclusion that you're arguing, but it does help define what that issue is. I did think that the summary of your argument was actually quite clear. All right, thank you.